Yeah, it worked. So I think, so yeah, it worked. You can please, if you may. I put it in the chat. It makes sense though that the one person initiating the stream is the one constructing the room.
Hello again.
Quickly post this also in core team if nobody did.
It's in there.
Okay, cool, thanks. So you can open the meeting, Griff.
Okay, cool. Well, do we want to start with our regular awards check-in?
Sure, go ahead.
So, well, this week I've been mostly working on the budget as well as networking with Open Zeppelin and doing a lot of all the little things, just coordinating everybody. But definitely the budget has been the main thing. Oh, and I got Arthur helped get the Mew thing finally finalized. So pretty excited about getting Mew to start collecting donations with Giving. Okay, and we'll go with Jen.
I did loads of admin work, upload from milestones, reward DAO, and regular milestones, the prep of the new reward DAO sheet. I made tons of notes for several meetings, attended all the meetings, checked the budget and the roadmaps. Loads of different admin work. That's mostly it. Kai.
Yeah. So what I was looking at my notes for the week. So what I was doing is mainly interfacing with Status and the guys from Matrix, because we're talking to a tech lead. It's actually very nice about migrating to Matrix protocol. We use the client Riot usually to describe that. So I was messing up with that. I was also setting up a bridge to connect our Slack channels to our new Riot thing, with the nice side effect that whoever wants to use another thing, even like Twitter or Mattermost or whatever comes to your mind, if you want to use it, if you want to bridge channels, just reach out to me. I can make it happen. And yeah, I did some little stuff, maintenance on YouTube after the meetings, and yeah, some small stuff. What about Wojtek?
Hey, I've done quite a lot. So I've been doing budget, I've been reshuffling issues, closing issues, verifying that, developing, yeah, all sorts of stuff. I'll go with RJ.
I guess late or early this week. I don't know. I guess what's a week, like Friday to Friday or Monday to Monday. But anyways, I got the test network contracts deployed on the test network and the alpha website updated to the latest changes we've made to the DApp and the new contracts. And today I'm going to be just finishing up. There's some final contract changes that need to be made that we talked about at the the DApp meeting on Wednesday. So I plan on wrapping that up today and then probably redeploying the testnet contracts. Chris.
Yes, so I did some preparation and discussion and reworking of the communications budget and some calls with people on that, preparation of a communication circle and presentation of that. Then also a legal financial kind of proposal after a discussion with the Spartan City team. Then attending the different circles and more budget feedback, some admin, and then I also checked with Wojtek on how to change the copy in the DApp on which I will be working tomorrow. So, and then we still have, I don't know, fellow Jitzer? Is that Jen?
Nope.
Yeah, that's you.
I was already. So.
Oh, okay. Then, oh yeah, I don't know if there's someone else.
Oz, what's with Oz? Oz?
Okay.
Oz is back. It's your turn, Oz. What did you do?
Oh, great. So yeah, this week I finished up these requirements for this mobile app. I started working on status. I started testing the DApp on alpha and looking at Contu, which is an interesting testing framework. And that's what I did with my week.
Yay.
Is there anyone else?
Well, that was all who I hear. Who's this fellow Jitsier with a little hat on the head?
Maybe that's me.
Oh yeah, that's you. Hi, Alan.
I'm not regular reward, so
well, great to hear.
Yeah, but just this last week I did I worked on a presentation for the mobile app product requirements, and Joanna is editing the video. Hope to get that done soon.
All right.
Okay, cool. So now we can just check in. I'm distracted by finishing up the notes and the pre-meeting notes that we have, but I'm pretty excited to get the budget out of the way so we don't have to be distracted by it anymore. I'm really hoping that that is the outcome of this meeting. Let's go with Oz.
So yeah, I'm might have to leave like in an hour or so, but I will stay as long as I absolutely possibly can. So if it takes longer than an hour, then that's that, and no distractions here. Let's move on to, all I've seen is Jen and Alan, so I'll go with Jen.
I also have an eye on the time, but besides that, I'm not distracted at all. Kai.
I'm pretty undistracted, and I don't have any special goals, I think, for the meeting. Let's see when we build the agenda. Looking forward to it. Yeah. Who has not gone? RJ?
Yeah. Yeah, curious wrap up the budget stuff. And then, yeah, kind of some mainnet deployment details. And no real distractions. Wojtek?
Yeah, I have quite a lot of proposals about the budget and other stuff, so I'm hoping to approve those. Not really any distractions now. Who didn't go? Chris.
Yeah, so intention is indeed to have an efficient governance meeting for me. So it was a bit too long last week, so I hope we can keep it efficient. I will also definitely try to contribute to that, and no real distractions. Did Alan already go? Or yeah, sorry, I didn't pay attention. Who?
Yeah, I hope to get this budget approved and that it's not a very long meeting, as I might have to leave as well. Who's next?
Anybody?
That was all.
Okay, so since this is going to be likely a long meeting, logistics, I'm going to try to put all the budget stuff first, And if there's any things that aren't with the budget, then they'll get dealt at the end of the meeting for the people that are still here. And please, please, please try to keep your comments short and concise and descriptions short and concise. I'm the worst at it, and I'm happy if you guys, can say something if I'm talking too much and help me moderate this discussion, because it is going to be an important one and we need to move fast. So if you're talking for more than 2 minutes, like, come on. Okay, so agenda. We have a lot of agenda items, but that were already submitted. And I'm going to try to order them in the direction that makes sense. But if anyone has any other agenda items, throw them out.
I would like to have an agenda item for the migration. The agenda item is just to, we looked it up, so now I want to have like approval for going forward.
Riot migration. Next.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Escape hatch addresses.
And I was going to say mobile app.
Anybody else? Okay.
Can we do the mobile app before the Riot migration? Is that possible?
Yeah, but probably not before budget stuff.
That's fine. Thanks.
Actually, I think escape hatch, it sounds pretty important. Is it pretty important, RJ? Should we move that first?
Sure. It shouldn't take too long, but yeah, let's do it first.
Yeah, I think we should. Okay, so escape hatch, tension and proposal, RJ.
The tension is that we need to deploy the contracts to mainnet, hopefully next week or within about a week. And before we do that, we need to know who's going to be the owner of the vault, and then who is going to be the escape hatch caller and destination on the vault, and all the contracts that we deploy. And the proposal is to make, I like Wojtek's idea for the escape hatch caller to be like a one of many multi-sig maybe, and then there's a few people that are on that multi-sig. The escape hatch destination will be just the Giveth multi-sig. And the vault owner, I'm not sure. I mean, I think Riff said he could do it at one point, or we can make it a multi-sig. But that basically the vault owner needs to authorize every single payment that gets gone out or like transferred from the system. So a multi-sig might be cumbersome. So, any reactions?
Let's start.
So sorry, just clarifying question so that I understand it. The owner needs to approve any transaction that goes out of the vault except for escaping?
Yes.
Okay.
And the owner can escape as well, I believe.
Exactly.
Can or can't? Sorry.
Okay, what? Animal camps?
Can or can't escape? What did you ask?
Can. The owner can escape as well.
Can't. Okay, I just write it down right. Okay.
Okay, so reaction round. I will go first because obviously I have things to say. Multi-sig, we need to figure out who's on the multi-sig, and that should be an agenda item, and I don't think we'll get to it, but it's an important agenda item. Basically, I was going to propose, and I forgot to do it, that we say, hey, anyone who's a core contributor, basically anyone who went to DevCon, if you want to be on this multi-sig, let's put you on the multi-sig and make a 5 of 10 or a 6 of 12 multi-sig. People want to be on it. And then we'll basically store the excess funds in that multi-sig. Jordy and I are talking about ensuring any funds that are in the vault, because the vault is not an audited contract. And Jordy, without looking at it, wouldn't insure it for very much. So right now, Jordy still needs to look at the vault, but we're willing to insure it for 50 Ether. So we can hold 50 Ether in the vault, and the rest needs to be put in the multi-sig. But basically, the plan would be that we send all the, and this is kind of give its pot of gold agenda item, I think, where we send all the money into liquid pledging, pull the escape pouch, and take it out of the vault, but we send it into different campaigns, and that those different campaigns get allocated certain amounts. But that money has to go somewhere, and so we thought it'd be good to have a multi-sig, and that multi-sig is a discussion that we should talk about. And then for the escape hatch, I definitely want to be on the escape hatch if I'm insuring it. And also, I think Jordy and I would like to. One of us should be the owner as well. I assume me if we're insuring it. That's kind of a part of the deal. So, yeah. Let's go with Chris.
I like the proposal that Griff made that we do it with the multi-sig, and I'd love to be part of that. And I pass it on to Jen.
I just had to Google what an escape hatch is. Sorry about that. So I understood what Griff said, so I would go with that. Kai?
Yeah, I'm pretty much fine with whatever has been proposed. I would love to be on a multi-sig, like that kind of how to do it with multi-sigs. But you guys know when to deploy what for each account, so I will just trust you. How about Wojtek?
I agree with the proposal. I think the multi-sig we solve separately. Oz.
Yeah, sounds good to me. It sounds like it's still a discussion for the multi-sig thing, but yeah, I'd like to be on it if it's up for grabs. And I guess I haven't heard from Colin. RJ.
Is everybody gone?
Sure, I think Alan hasn't, but go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, amended proposal, I guess, would be its escape hatch destination is the multi-sig, the Giveth multi-sig. The escape hatch caller is a one of X multi-sig with Griff or Jordy, and then possibly Wojtek and I. Maybe Sacha, just kind of on that multi-sig. So just any of us can call the escape hatch if necessary. And then the owner would be, the vault owner would be Jordy or Griff for them to figure out.
Any objections? I have a clarifying thing. We can use the current multi-sig for time being, and we can always amend the actual who is on it after the deployment. So.
Yeah. Did my mom? Did Lupita say anything to you yet?
I don't think Jen's talking to us. So, anybody, any objections? If not, pass. Okay. Escape hatch clarity. Okay, so now reward DAO revision is the next one because I had to make a large change to the governance budget after getting some feedback about the reward DAO. And so my intention was that the reward DAO is a very important part of Giveth and its governance experiment. And I was going to move it to just to move it back so it's just rewarding people within the governance circle. But in the end, there are lots of people that can be rewarded through multiple ways. And it wasn't much of a governance experiment if it's just me dishing out money. So the proposal is that we maintain the reward DAO for everybody, but we change it, but we evolve it based off of lessons learned. So I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. But I have this reward DAO spreadsheet, which you guys can follow along in. It's linked in that other document that has the proposals. It's and actually I'll just put it in the Jitsi. Let's see. Well, so there's that. So the way this works is, you guys can see my screen, right?
No.
Yes, but it's a bit frozen, I think. But we see something.
Frozen.
Ah, yeah, now it's back. Now it's back.
Let me see so I can see it. Okay, cool. Okay, so this would be where people would dish out points. Basically, the first 4 rows kind of just accumulate however many points everyone has, and effectively the reward DAO is based off of points. There are 4 different currencies, and each campaign would have their own currency that they can dish out. This will be really cool when we actually make this blockchain, and there's a com points, community coding points, adapt point. Oh, by the way, smart contracts got changed to community coding, the name. That's like a future proposal. DApp points and governance points, and each circle elects a community representative, a community lead, and they have the power to dish points out to people. And so, if you look at row 8, we have Quasia. He was rewarded 0.3 points by the CC lead for commenting on liquid pledging, and that was on December 1st. And there would be a link to where that happened, because it wouldn't happen. It would happen on the sheet, but it would actually happen in the Slack when he did it. When he said, "Hey, I did this," Jordy or RJ or whoever would be the community coding lead would then give him the points right there in the Slack. And Quasia would be like, "Oh my God, I just got points." And then you would have to wait until the end of the month to actually get Ether, but at least he knows that he will get some, and it's appreciated. And then the details on this is like different groups can reward the same people. So for the same action. So if you look at 13, 14, and 15, Edu made a Swarm City IPFS thing, right? Implementation. Sorry, that was copied wrong. So the CC lead gave him 1 point for implementation. The governance lead gave him 100 points for working on the governance with Swarm City, and the DApp team gave him 9,000 points or 90,000 points for the IPFS consortium thing. And the thing is, it doesn't matter. What matters is the consistency within the currency. Just like if you get 10 Doge or you get 10 Bitcoin, those have different values, you know? And so points for CC are hard to give, but points for the DApp. And this is just to avoid too much collaboration. Okay, so that's basically this, where everyone gets to track the points that they gave out. And then once a month, everyone, all the leads would vote on what percentage of each contributor's group would have. So they'd look at that sheet and see, okay, you can just filter right here and be like, okay, let's see, what did the CC do, you know? And so you can just kind of filter this. Like, oh, okay, the CC did these 2 things. Oh, okay, well, they didn't do a lot. But and then what did the DApp do? You know? Wow, the DApp, these were all really, really important things, you know? And then, okay, what did the Gov do? And then you filter, oh, wow, he gave it to a bunch of people, but none of these guys deserved it. Okay, fine. And then they'll vote. So this is if I was the comms person, they don't get to vote for their own team. They just get to vote for these things. So he thought the DApp team was very important. The CC team was like, they were okay, but they didn't do much. And the governance team, they did a lot, but probably too much. So these are the votes. So then everyone votes. This only has to happen once a month, so it's a low bandwidth for the team. And then we aggregate it here, and I almost finished this before the meeting, but didn't quite. The D something. But every currency gets a certain amount of Ether. You can find that out right here. Ether per point for the communications point, the stat point, the governance point. And then we just do all the math, and basically they will find out how much Ether each thing did. Like Casey's work on the DApp was really amazing, and so he ended up getting 0.8 Ether for that. You know, and he'll be able to find that out after he did the work. And then it'll just be aggregated here, and we pay it out, and we have some checks. So that's the reward DAO. And the big thing is that I upped the amount because it was before it was only for the governance group, but now it's again for the entire DAC, and it's just run by the governance group. But every campaign elects a person who dishes out points. Okay, clarifying questions.
Yes. So I was wondering. Oh shit! I have an echo.
It's okay.
So yeah, I was wondering how the initial points that are at the top in the first sheet, how are these decided? How many points everyone has?
Everyone has as many points as they want. It's just this sheet will count how many points have been sent.
Okay, I get it. Yeah.
So that's just for use case, so it's easy, so that the DApp remembers that they're like sending points like it's Dogecoin, and community coding remembers that they're treating it like Bitcoin.
Did I understand?
Okay, yeah.
Did I understand right that the DApp circle is voting for all the other circles? So the DApp circle is not voting for the DApp circle, but for every other circle, correct?
Yes, the DApp circle, nobody votes for how much their own circle gets. Every circle gets to vote on how much each other circle is allocated. If assuming they got nothing, this is how much they thought their contributors would get.
Okay, thanks.
And there's a fixed amount, like the 4,000 or whatever. That's no matter what?
Yeah.
How many
So
contributors?
the 4,000 is like a block reward. So the 4,000 comes from Giveth as like, hey, community, work on our stuff. Just like Bitcoin was sending out 50 Bitcoins early on, even though no one was making transactions. And so that's a fixed amount. However, technically, it's a milestone that people can donate to. So if there was a week where, Alan and Joanna put out this awesome video, and they're not rewarded for anything. It wasn't a bounty. There was no bounty for it, and they made this awesome video. And Oz, basically did this huge thing for the mobile DApp, and Edu did something, and Quasia, and Jen, and Alex, and Michael, and all these other people started doing things. Then they would then anyone could actually donate more so that it could be bigger, but it would always be minimum 4,000, kind of like a block reward and transaction fees.
But for me, it's like, so why are we having different currencies?
The main that was to address this issue that a lot of people had with, I don't want to have to evaluate how much Quasia's efforts were on, the Mu thing, because I had nothing to do with that. And so since, for instance, that's a governance campaign, the governance circle can award him points, and anyone can award points if they had something to do with that volunteer's work. And so then they get to evaluate if they want to, but they don't have to decide whether or not, like people in the communications department don't have to decide on whether or not Casey's implementation of the linting fix was good or not, and how much, because they don't have the perspective to do that. But if you split up in 4 different currencies, then everyone with that perspective can do it, and then there's only this little bit of voting that I think what will probably happen in practice is that the 4 community leads will have a meeting before they vote and just say, okay, yeah, I think that we did a lot this week. I didn't think we did very much, and then they'll vote.
Okay. The thing why I was asking is because if I was a volunteer and wanted to check my points, it's very hard to see your points. I mean, because it's so the values are. I would get this as an example, but yeah. I still think they should be worth I don't know. That was my input. I think people might want to check their stuff, and it's hard to check how much you have if you don't know.
Is that clarifying question or reaction?
It's a clarifying question on why to implement the different currencies for each circle. But
yeah.
it's okay, we can
Yeah.
skip it even.
Okay, so any other clarifying questions? Reactions, Oz.
So I really like it. I love the how the experiment is growing and getting more defined, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go. I put in the comments, and I kind of worded it strongly because I feel it strongly, but I don't want to be rude about it because it's just a suggestion. But I just think that a month is it's not even worth doing at a month's time. Personally, I think that these payments for volunteers need to happen. There needs to be a quick feedback. If someone does something, they should. I just think the feedback loop needs to be much quicker. 1 week would be ideal, but 2 weeks would be okay. Other than that, I love it. Moving on to Wojtek.
So I have the very same feeling actually as Oz does about it. I really like where it's heading. I think it's better than the current reward DAO system, but I feel like 1 month is way too long. Also, I'm not really convinced about the amount of money that this needs to get, because we now also have bounties and other stuff. So, and I don't like that it's fixed basically for each month, even though people can still donate. But I don't like that it's that the minimal amount is fixed, because what if really nothing gets done in that week? It's Christmas, for example. I go with Chris.
Yes, so I cannot really give a very elaborate reaction in the sense that I haven't voted before, so I must admit that I don't completely get it just yet, but I'll see it in the first voting, I guess. The only thing I can react to is what Wojtek said as well, the amount. I would see this not as a minimal amount, but as a maximum amount. I don't know how this will then work in the system, but we indeed have bounties. I have also in communication, I have budget for design and this and that. So I would say that it's like a maximum, and the money that is left over can flow to like the entire, divided by the group or something. But I'll let you see how that could work. I give it to Jen.
Yeah. So I think that it looks absolutely fantastic, and I think that it looks now exactly the way that Griff had it in his head all the time. I absolutely like the idea of the different circles have to vote for all the other circles. I think that's a really good way to actually value the work that is been done. I also agree with Oz. I think 4 weeks or a month, however, is too long. I think 2 weeks would be or 2 weeks would be better. I, of course, don't agree that the minimum has to be fixed. And even if we have bounties for deaths, and this is a playground and an experiment. And we will have people who will not just do dev work, and they will not fit in the bounties, I think. So, I would go with Griff there. I think that's that's a great proposal. Alan.
I really like the proposal. I think it's a great idea to have different currencies and to have the groups voting not on themselves but on the other groups, and then within the groups to be voting on themselves. And I agree that maybe a month is too long, but I like the idea of getting like instant reward on Slack and just knowing what your reward is building up to be. RJ?
Yeah, I think the structure and how the reward DAO would work is the best it's been so far. I also think, I see why a month is nice, because it's kind of a pain in the ass to do this, but it's also a month is a long feedback cycle. And then I disagree that it needs $4,000 every month, especially to start off. And yeah, I think that's, if it's going to be a fixed amount, I think it should be less to start off, and then depending on how donations come in and what Give It finance situation is like, reevaluate it in the future. Who else is Kai?
I can go, yeah. Thank you, RJ. That was nice. I really go with your points there, because I think the amount is in a fixed way, maybe too high. But it's hard to actually come to that amount. And what I think would be nice to really, first of all, I really like how the system evolved, though. From the first spreadsheet to what we have now, it's very nice. But I would really like to see the bounty system furthering, if we can integrate Gitcoin stuff. And I would even like to go more into bounty for other circles that are not developers. But if we have a system where to share bounties, people will also get that. The reason why I'm saying this is I think especially in communications, we can have a problem with our free-for-all attitude, which is nice, because you should be able to come to Give It and give a part, but there is a minimum amount of quality that's expected, and we can run into problems if we just say, I like inviting volunteers, but it's always this walk, right? So we don't know what we are getting by putting something out there, and we want to reward people. And I just don't want it to end in I give mediocre stuff to Give It so I can grab some of their honeypot. Yeah,
Right.
so I think everybody went.
Okay, so I will say that one thing I noticed is that all the people who don't have regular rewards anymore at the end of this love this proposal, and all the people who end up with salaries don't think it's too much money for everyone else. So that is an interesting bias. But I will say that we are actually losing 2 people off regular rewards, and adding and doubling the salary of every dev team member. And
Right.
I think that we're not giving enough money to the community. We are $4,000 is one person making about $900 a week. This is about half of what every dev team person gets, at least according to the current budget. And this one underpaid dev will actually go. Of course, there's bounties as well, but that system is completely untested. We've never used it at all. Whereas the reward DAO is actually tested and has been rewarding Quasia, Joanna, Alan, Edu, Alex, and for the last long while at about $1,000 a week, and often more than $1,000 a week. $1,000 a week has been the minimum. But we actually now are adding Jen and Oz to this mix, and probably also Casey, and maybe other community members like Reese or Em or Michael. And these guys, I don't know the quality of their work, and I don't know that it's going to be good. But the nice thing is we get immediate feedback. And so I'm actually fearful that the experiment is taking place in the bounty system, which we don't have any actual proof for. In fact, we threw away the bounty system at the beginning of this project in favor of Reward DAO because it was not working. It was very difficult to do. The bureaucracy around making milestones was very unenjoyable, and Reward DAO was simpler with regular rewards. So I definitely don't think 4,000 is too much, but I will, because that is a common thing, I will reduce it to 3,000. And I want to also address the length of time is a month to actually address the issue that it is a fixed amount, and maybe nothing will happen during Christmas week, but the month of December should balance that out. And that's why it sucks that it's a long month, but the immediate gratification is the points. And the only thing they're missing is how much money is this? they don't know. And if they're an open source person, they probably don't really care because they're used to getting nothing. So points that will result in Ether is kind of cool. And that's actually pretty much how our reward DAO has been working anyway, because it takes so long to get the things through. And then, yeah, 2 weeks would be better, but the feedback I got from the last one was it was happening too often because it takes too much time to vote and people weren't voting in time. And yeah, so anyway, that's my clarifications. I'm amending the proposal to 3,000 a month, which I think is totally undervalued for considering that it's Quasia, Oz, Jen, Joanna, Alan, Casey, Edu, Alex, and Reese, right? I had Casey on there twice, but whatever. But I will reduce it to 3,000 and put that in the budget. Any objections?
Yeah, man. That was very nicely put. I did not think like of all the people that were in there. It was not so transparent to me. So I would like to retract my reaction, and I would totally go along with you. I would even increase this. My comment was mainly for onboarding new volunteers. It can sometimes be hard, but I want to retract my comment from before. And please make it more.
Okay, my objection would be, as said, that probably it's not gonna be people like who do like Joanna and Alan, because they already have budget in both production and in communications. And the objection is also, I do not object to the total amount. I just object that there is a minimum per month that needs to be spent. That's all.
I want to object. I don't want it to be 3,000. Thanks, Kai. Thanks, Griff, for pointing exactly out what you pointed out. There are tons of people who are doing an amazing job, and 3,000 is that's not much money, to say it in a nice way. Yeah, I think we have to value the work of people. If we want to do this, then let's do it. 3,000. How many people is it? 7, 6?
Quasia,
so,
Alex, and maybe others.
Sorry, say it again.
8.
8.
And
yeah,
maybe other contributors.
8 if you
There
count
you are.
Joanna. Yeah, it's a maximum 6 then, I guess, right?
Well, but yeah, and so the tough part is that we don't actually have any bounties up yet. We don't have any system in place for that. And we've never done it before.
Yeah, so I definitely disagree with 3,000.
So
that's my objection.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'm going to do a quick integration round and bring it back to 4,000 and hear the objections on the other side, if there are any. Does anyone object to $4,000 a month?
I do, because 3,000 is just the minimum. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily. It could be more if there's a lot of good work that goes in. So it seems like.
But where does that money come from?
Well, can't the projects or whatever, like, oh, we have some bounties, like this person, I don't know. I mean, it seems like the Give It DAC could maybe like vote, like, oh yeah, there was a bunch of work that was done, like and it was awesome and worthwhile. We should donate a little bit of money to it instead of just having like, oh, it's 4,000 minimum, no matter what.
For a month.
Per month, right?
Which is standard. Which is what it's been so far. It's actually lower than what it's been on average.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I don't care that much, but whatever.
Any other? I will address that objection, but I'm sure there's going to be more. I want to hear the other objections to 4,000.
I have the same objection, saying that it's the minimum, and if there is something that has been done, at least from the DApp side, and that needs to be rewarded, as for example Casey, or you're actually missing, for example, Brandon there or someone else, the dev team will decide to donate to this Reward DAO milestone and up the budget.
So, any other objections to 4,000?
Same as Wojtek.
So the issue I have with it is that this is for the DAC in total, and right now our funds are being allocated per group for the entire DAC. And honestly, the DAP team is just being greedy, just being way too greedy. There are a lot of things going on in Giveth beyond the DAP, and I think that doubling everyone's on the DAP team's salary and creating a $60,000 a year bounty system for the DAP is a lot. And there's just more going on in this community than the DAP. And it's hard to see, but we are right now in this position where we are going to divide percentage-wise amongst different groups. The governance, the DAP team, the communications department, and the community coding. Community coding and communications are both getting really stiffed, in my opinion. They will need to scale more. Right now, we have a huge need for the DAP, which is why we're doubling everyone's salary and throwing in $60K as a bounty thing. But at the same time, we have to realize that everyone else is getting stiffed. Communications department is getting stiffed because we don't need them until the DAP is up. The community coding group is getting stiff because honestly, they can get their own funding. And the governance department is getting stiff because, well, like we don't need, I mean, because I will fund it no matter what, right? But this is actually the reward DAO, which is for the entire DAC. So allocating it a certain amount, what I would like to propose is that we allocate it 4,000 a month for this splitting. However, we actually only give it 3,000 a month for the first month and see how it goes. And if it's and that's the minimum is, well, let's say the minimum is 3,000 a month, and then we'll have this extra 1,000 to play with that we can vote on as the four community leads can vote on to add if it's unanimous. So that's the new proposal. So 3,000 a month is the minimum. It's allocated 4,000 for the budget, and the leads can vote on the extra 1,000 percentage to add.
I have a clarifying question.
Okay.
So let's say a big part of where I'd like to see Giveth going in 2018 is actually experimenting with doing giving type works. And so I was just wondering, in this reward system, if someone does something, for that experiment, let's say like it has nothing to do with the DAP. Let's say it's as simple as like cleaning up their own street or trying to set up something like that. Would that ever be something that would be rewarded through this, or does that have nothing to do with this?
I would say in a way it has nothing to do with it, but that people could be rewarded for using our system through this, because basically the governance lead, the DAP lead, the community coding lead, and the comms lead, there's no rules on who they can give points to. They can give points to anybody. And if this guy is cleaning their street and he's using our DAP to do it, and we want to reward him for the way he did it, I don't know why that wouldn't happen. But it is not for contributing to milestones, I will say, or like in other DACs. It is targeted for the Giveth DAP. So if they're using the Giveth DAP and they wrote an awesome blog post about how they're cleaning up the streets, the comms department could totally reward them. And the governance department could too. So are there any objections to the $3,000 minimum but $4,000 allocation and $1,000 vote?
For the first month, you said, correct?
Yeah, 3,000 minimum for the first 3,000 minimum. I'm changing. I don't know if I said that for the first month, but 3,000 minimum total forever. But the extra 1,000 will be voted on whether or not it's there, but the money is allocated for it.
So I do have an objection about that. And the objection being, I don't think that we need to decide it now because it was only presented now. There should be a tactical meeting about it, in my opinion.
Well, this goes to the next proposal, which is the actual budget allocation. So if this can't be decided, then we can't decide the budget allocation. And then we have to go another week of talking about the budget, which is just horrible.
And we're all here, so, well, we're not all here.
So I don't know. What do you say to that issue, Wojtek?
Well, I feel that issue, but I also feel that this is what happens every single time, that things are altered in the last moment while something is agreed on beforehand, right?
My feedback, maybe, I don't know if it's going to help, but it's like for me, allocating the 3,000 and then deciding on the 1,000 extra, I have no objection to that the money is allocated there. The only thing I don't understand is that there needs to be a minimum. If work is done, it needs to be rewarded. If no work is done, it doesn't need to be rewarded or given a lot of money, like as an extra gift to someone else. But maybe I don't understand the system. That's the only objection I have. But I don't object to already allocating it. If it's not used, it's not used.
Okay, so then how about to integrate those two objections? We allocate the same amount to reward DAO, which has always been, actually a little bit less, 4,000 a month. And then we work on the details of the reward DAO in a separate meeting, but for the budget proposal to move on, it is allocated 4,000 and there's a separate meeting to decide on the reward DAO application.
For me, that makes sense. You can discuss it in the governance tactical meeting, I guess.
Any objections to 4,000 being allocated for the governance budget?
Do all objections have to be fixed before we can make a decision? Sorry.
Unfortunately, integration. There's this objection integration round.
All right. Thanks.
I would like to be heard that I still object against it, but if no one else has a problem, I'm going to pass it.
Okay. So the allocation is still not happy with Wojtek, but he's going to let it go. And I guess you can veto the budget meeting if you still don't like the budget. Okay, so then proposal passed. 4,000 will be allocated to reward now for the governance budget to have the governance discussion, which we are now at. So Wojtek, I think you have the tension and proposal.
Okay, so the tension is that we're dividing into 4 circles, and for that we need to do different budgets. So I'm proposing the donation platform budget, which has been outlined 2 weeks ago and hasn't been modified since. It has actually been toned down 30%. I want you all to know that. And the current proposal is asking for 85,200 until the product launch and 427,000 a year for the first year. The detail is in the document that I changed. I don't think that I need to go through it, but if someone needs me to go through it, please tell me. But it hasn't been changed for 2 weeks now.
This is a clarifying question. This is for the DAP budget.
This is for the DAP budget.
So clarifying question, the allocations for, can you just say the allocations for the dev team members, salaries?
Yes, so front-end dev for 80,000 a year, back-end dev for 105,000 a year, product owner for 80,000 a year, and 60,000 in bounties, plus 30,000 is a year is for various other expenses like running IPFS nodes, meetups, things like that.
Another clarifying question: is the 30,000 is the yearly total the one being later allocated for the splitting give us pot or gold, or is it the till March 1st?
It's the till March 1st, but actually those values are the same.
Well, the 30,000 isn't included, right?
Yes, it is proportionally.
Okay. Any other clarifying questions?
That's a lot of money.
I have one clarifying question, which is just from Satya's comment before the meeting. Did you take a look at that, Wojtek, and does that change anything with the proposal?
Yes, I had a look at all the comments, and I've even talked to Satya. I don't think it changes anything. The idea is that there are people who are right now working on the product and who would start searching for a job if we cannot give them a competitive salary. And actually, this is not fully competitive salaries, but it was agreed that this work will be done for that. And Satya's reaction is that for now, until the March, he can't actually do the full time. He can only do the 24 hours a week. So his salary was decreased proportionally, but in the budget, it still remains the same.
Okay. I'm going to just jump to reaction round. I think that's great. I think that it's important to have the allocation there for 80K. I don't think it's fair to have the 30,000 allocated as part of it, because that is not an expense expected for March 1st. And comms department and the governance department both have much larger budgets after March 1st. So it's not really fair to, and I would say it's straight up greedy to actually, which I hate to do that, but to add that into your budget, but not do that for the other budgets. But I do agree that we need to allocate the funds to pay those salaries, and that because of Ether's fluctuations, it's better to do this percentage-wise than anything, but only up to March 1st with the legitimate expenses that we expect. So let's go with Oz.
Hey guys, so I mean, yeah, these budget things are always so tough. They're never perfect. A lot of good work went into this, and so I just want to say thank you guys for putting so much effort into this, and just looking forward to taking advantage of that effort by closing it off and pushing forward and seeing what happens. I think that's all I have to say. So I will move it on to, we'll go with Kai.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. This is a complicated discussion, and I was a little distracted. Sorry. I go with RJ.
I think it makes sense if we're doing the allocation thing through the DAP of the current funding that we have by the percentage of the if we're dividing the current funds right now by the percentage of our budgets, I think it makes sense to take into account what Griff said, and we should divide the current spending or current funds proportionally the same across all budgets or all circles. So if one circle is including budget after March 1st, all circles should, or no circle should. Alan?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for putting this, the effort into this, and it's a delicate subject, but I think we're moving forward. I have nothing to add. Jen?
Yeah. I think that's a lot of money, and you're all overpaid after that, but that's my very personal opinion, and I, of course, can't say how much someone is paid in that field. So I know we have definitely to keep RJ, and I get this completely. I know that was a lot of work. Thanks to Wojtek for doing that. I nevertheless agree with Griff on the 30,000. Yeah, that's my 5 cents. Did anyone not talk?
Yeah, me.
I think that. Sorry, Chris.
No problem. Sorry, first clarification, I was distracted for a second. What is the issue with the 30K? Which 30K, Griff? Because I don't know what you mean with that.
There's 30K that they have allocated after March 1st for different support infrastructure needs that the DAP will require. That they are in currently, the way it's structured, it is looped into the pre-March 1st allocation that, and like the comms department expects once we have the DAP to have much more requirements for funding, and so does the governance group. And so I think that 30K should be left out. But other than that, I like the allocation, even though RJ and Sacha aren't taking full advantage of it.
Could you point to the line where that 30K is?
I'll have to let Wojtek do that. But this isn't actually the time for crosstalk. Maybe you just give your comment and we move on.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will explain it.
Okay, I'll let you explain afterwards. So yeah, no, my comment is that I think these are normal salaries for developers, and I think it makes sense as a budget for production, and that's all.
Is there anyone else? I think everyone else went. So, Wojtek, or did RJ go?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Okay, Wojtek.
Okay, so the 30,000 is 4 meetups in a year of all the developers together, plus it's an IPFS node running. The same thing is actually included in the communication budget, and I think might be also included in other budgets. Not sure right now. Yeah, what I want to react that even now the percentage is less than 50% is allocated to the product of Giveth, to developing the product. In normal startup, you would have 80 or 90%. That's all I have to say about that. So I will still continue with the proposal as it is right now. If it needs to be changed, now is your time to raise objections.
I guess I have to object. My understanding is you guys don't have a planned meetup before March 1st, and you don't have a plan to include IPFS nodes. If Chris has meetings planned before March 1st, and that's included, I don't think it should be there. And yeah, but at the same time, the proposal, I'm not sure what the proposal is. If the proposal is for the budget, or if the proposal is for what I think is the next proposal, which is how we allocate the budget amongst the 5 groups. But so, yeah, I mean,
Um,